Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. It is myself, CoachFury, here today, and we're back after a little bit of a hiatus really on the channel. Had some time off over the Christmas period and New Year period, but we're getting back into the episodes now, so they're going to come thick and fast for the Chicago Bulls Let's Play series of Draft Day Sports Pro Basketball 21. So for those of you who've been following along, you'll know that we are in the probably the final season of this Bulls Let's Play, to see whether we can repeat the title that we won in the previous season and keep that dynasty going for the Chicago Bulls. So we're going to see how this plays out really, and we're about a month into the actual season itself. We are 10-3, so we've been going pretty well. Some of our free agency signings have been sort of playing out pretty well off the bench, but it's pretty much the same starting five as last season. And we're just going to continue with this and see how we get on. So today we're going to probably run up until the trade deadline on this Let's Play, and let's see how we get on. So I've restored the lineup back to its original state, so no real surprises. We've not changed a great deal here. Our starting 8 players are still our starting 8 players on this Let's Play series that were here last season. But we've got some interesting bench guys in the likes of Duncan Robinson, Noel, to see if they can play their way into a lineup. We did sort of give Duncan Robinson a little bit of a stint in a couple of games, and he performed okay. I mean, he didn't take many shots. He played very small amounts of minutes, so maybe he'll play his way in. I mean, we are paying him $10 million, so he may be a possible prospect that we can use as salary filler if there is something come the trade deadline at the moment. But I do like his range and ability, because he kind of does fill that void if we do get injuries to someone like Gary Trent Jr., or we have to rejig the lineup and move Leonard into sort of a forward position. He can also come in and probably play the shooting guard minutes that Kobe White is playing, who's actually been doing fairly well for us off the bench this year. It's not been terrible. His shooting numbers are pretty much where they were, but he's never gonna. I don't think he's ever going to be a starter for a team. I think he is ideally suited to that 6-man role. So that's where we are pretty much in terms of this episode really. We're going to go out to the trade deadline, have a little nose around, see if there's anything there, and then we'll probably come back next time and see if we've made any moves or maybe pursue it then. But we'll see how we get on. So let's get ourselves going forward. As I said, we are 10-3. We are in great shape to start this season. We have started really, really well. We're on a 5-game winning streak, and we're just going to sort of get ourselves going here. Let's try and get ourselves up until January and see if we get any crazy injuries or anything that may happen to the team until then. So I'm not going to stop on any action emails. I will stop on injuries though, and then we'll review it at that point. But given that our starting 8 rotation is pretty much set, we're pretty comfortable with how things have been going. We are the team to beat, certainly at this moment in time, and we just need to keep ourselves plodding forward, make sure we get that playoff spot, take the division, and kind of go from there really. So for those of you as well who probably follow Wolverine Studios will know that the Draft Day Sports Pro Basketball 22 version is out now. I don't have that at the moment. I am thinking about whether to pick it up or not really, and start a new Let's Play on that version of the game. They have added some really interesting things in terms of scouting, in terms of player personalities, and I'm so happy that they have changed the depth chart so that you can just drop and place players in and keep the minutes sort of where they are, rather than myself at the moment having to go through and edit all of this, as we're going to have to do now with Elfrid Payton, who is out for just 1 game, which is quite frustrating. So that probably means that McConnell is going to come in, and that does mean that I'm probably going to put Macklemore off the bench for this one, just to pretty much fills the role of fills the role of McConnell, I should say, and Macklemore's going to come in and take his role off the bench. So we're going to just quickly fix this. Let's get ourselves sorted for this one day, which always seems to happen when there is a game. There is like a 1-day injury, which is kind of a little bit frustrating at times, but that is what happens in real life. Players do get injured. They're out for odd games or so now. Be it with little niggling injuries or whatever it is. So you do have to play around with it and do these kinds of things in real life. So I understand that means that we will have to accept that will happen here. So I'm just gonna probably do something like that. I think Peyton will come right down to the bottom here. Robertson could kind of step up, I guess, for that this one game. And we'll sim forward one day and then we'll restore our lineup. So we are playing the Hornets, who are 9 and 10. We are 15 and 3. Can we hold on without a point guard? We cannot. We lose by 7. That really does show how important it is to have a decent, point guard who can kind of run the ball for you. So we're going to restore our lineup, obviously. There's no surprise about that. Payton will come back in for McLemore, and McLemore will just basically slot in there, I think. Probably swap around with Williams, and we'll carry on moving forward. So we're already at the end of November, so we've been going fairly well actually without an injury at this moment in time. But let's get moving forward and see if we can get ourselves back on a winning track. We can't. We lose to New Orleans again there. And we lose to Detroit, so we've lost 3 straight now, and we finally get a win against Indiana to put ourselves back on the momentum that we should be on. So yeah, as I was saying, Draft Day Sports Pro Basketball 22 is out now. I'd go and check it out if you're interested in this game. They have made some enhancements, as I said. Still exploring it in terms of whether I pick it up or not. But I really wanted to get this Bulls Let's Play series, this last season, done before I considered picking it up, really. Because I think we just need to see whether we can repeat the title with the Bulls. It's one of the things that would be the question that would be outstanding for me with this Let's Play series. But yeah, we're on a good record here, 20 and 7, 21 and 7 now. We really are setting the league alight in terms of the regular season at this moment in time, setting the standard, I would imagine, on this kind of record. But it's not surprising, given that we won the title last year. All the players are in place, the cohesion is there, so certainly helps. But we've got 2 injuries now. We've got Jackson out, and we've got Kawhi Leonard out for 11 days. So most of December we're going to be without Kawhi Leonard, and Jackson is out as well. So we've got a bit of rejigging to do here. I am going to give the opportunity to 2 guys that we kind of talked about at the beginning of the episode, really. Duncan Robinson could come in for Leonard, and I think Williams could probably come in for Jackson. But from a bench position, I think, is what we will do. So in terms of how we're going to play this out, we are going to basically give every single centre minute available to Carter Jr. at this moment in time. We will rejig this around, don't worry. But like I said, on the new version, you can actually just flick this around, which is a little bit better. So we will probably throw in, so you can see Potel's out as well for 5 days, which is annoying. So it means that Noel's going to have to come in, and I'm just going to give him a couple of backup centre minutes, I think, just in here and here, just so that the likes of Wendell Carter Jr. is not going to be completely shattered when it comes to playing. And then what we'll do is Williams will basically come in and just take all of those power forward minutes, I think, because we obviously want to keep Brandon Clark probably in the same sort of rotation he's in now, because I do like the fact that Clark does play small forward minutes and he plays power forward minutes. And then Robinson, I'm going to give you a really, really long stint here for the month of December in at small forward, just to see whether you can do something effective for us. I mean, we are paying you a huge amount of money just to sit on our bench and not do anything at the moment. But, that's the way the depth works with our rotation. We do have a pretty deep lineup, so we do have to really think about that. So he's going to come in. He's obviously not going to be the same type of player as Kawhi Leonard, of course. But, maybe him with some shooting with Trent Jr. opens up some lanes for Clark or for Carter to kind of get the job done. So we'll see how this goes. We've not got Jackson Jr. for 2 days, so we're going to go and play today's game and tomorrow's game and just see. We'll have a little look and see how it goes, really. So we haven't got a game today, it looks like. Do we have a game the following day? We do. We are playing the Celtics. So we beat the Celtics by 13. Carter Jr. having a great game there by the looks of it. Let's go back and have a quick look. So how did Robinson get on? Oh, 1 of 5 from downtown. So he didn't have the most effective game in terms of his shooting ability. So that's a little bit frustrating. I mean, we are paying him a lot of money just to make 3-pointers. And given he is, he's normally a pretty good outside shooter from what we've seen, 47%. We kind of would expect that to be a little bit better. But Carter Jr. had a really good game. So the question then becomes, we go back 1 second. How did Williams get on as well? I forgot to look at that. So Williams had a really good game for the bench. His 3-point shooting is non-existent, but kind of expect that. He's not really a 3-point shooter. But inside, he did pretty well. He managed to grab some rebounds for us, fairly effective. But I think, given that we do have the likes of Jackson Jr. back, we will certainly bring him back into the lineup. So we will restore the lineup because it's probably going to be quicker to do this than it is to do anything else. And then we will just go back and quickly give Robinson these minutes here. And as I said, we'll keep him going because we've got Kawhi Leonard out. I want to give him a fair crack, an opportunity to win some minutes in the rotation, really, because as I said, if he doesn't perform the way we think he should be, then he is probably really good trade bait for us with that $10 million contract going into sort of the trade deadline. So we're going to sim ourselves to the end of December, to the start of January, and we'll have a little look and see how we get on. So we lose there to Orlando. It's been a bit of a patchy end of November and December, I have to say. Another loss there to New Orleans, who seem to have our number so far this year. We managed to get a win there against Portland, which was good. So we stopped the rot a little bit. As we go into the end of December, another loss there to the Lakers, 24-11. So we have scaled back from that blistering start at the beginning of the season. But understandable, we are without probably our best player in Kawhi Leonard, so you would expect that kind of thing to happen. So Leonard is back. Clark is out for 1 day. Can we just get forward 1 day, or have we got a game? No, we don't have a game, so we'll just get forward that one day. So we get everyone back and healthy. And then let's have a look and see how Robinson has been actually doing. So his numbers have certainly exploded, but that's probably because we've given him far more minutes. Let's have a little look at the game logs and see how he's been getting on. So this is his starting games. He had a good game against the Trailblazers, 7 of 10. Obviously, all of his shots are from downtown, but he's not necessarily been doing that well. I mean, look at that, plus minus 19, minus 19, minus 25. He's not been sort of the type of player that I thought he would be for us. So, to be honest with you, I don't think he's earned enough to kind of warrant any more minutes. His shooting numbers on paper are down as well. That's not particularly great, given we've given him an opportunity here. So we're going to restore our lineup back to what it was, of course, and Kawhi Leonard is going to come in. Robinson's going to go back down to the bench, and we're going to get ourselves moving forward here. I'll tell you what I will do, actually. I will put him on the trade block and see if we get any offers for him. So Robinson, you will go on the trade block, and we'll see what we can get for you. If not, we'll probably actively explore his salary, I think, come trade deadline. So let's move forward. We're going to get ourselves going here to the first week of Feb. That's usually when the trade antics kick off. So let's get going. Let's see if we can get ourselves back on a winning streak to try and get ourselves comfortably up in the standings here, really. So Kawhi Leonard is obviously back, which is just shows you how important it is to have a type of all-star player, really. Jenkins has got injured. I'm not sure why we stopped, because he is in the D League. So he's down in the D League at the moment. Performing very well in the D League as well. Interesting player, Jenkins. I mean, we've talked a lot about him. He's sort of not really developed enough to kind of warrant his stake in sort of a rotation place, but in the D League he's absolutely killing it usually. So I'm really hopeful that he does actually get like some sort of ratings increase or something in his final year, because the numbers he's putting up in the D League is really good. But we won't stop for him, obviously. We'll keep going, and then we'll do a little bit of a review after, once we hopefully get through January here, as we've just continue on a winning streak. Kawhi Leonard has come back, and this ball side has just picked it up basically. As soon as I say that, of course we lose. Not surprising. But we've got an injury here now, it looks like. Okay, so Trent Jr.'s out for 3 days. Clark is out for 5 days. Robinson's out for 4 days. Okay, so we've hit a bit of an injury bug. Let's put White in for the likes of Trent Jr. And then Clark, you can just be replaced by Williams, I think, again. Williams, you actually were not too bad, so we'll give you another opportunity. We'll move these guys down the rotation, of course, and we've got to do some quick movements here. So Macklemore, you can come and take White's minutes off the bench for now, and then White, you can come in and you can just basically pick up all of Trent Jr.'s minutes. Like so. And Clark, so interesting one for Clark. So Williams will pick up all your power forward minutes, I think. And then we've got to find someone to slot in at small forward. I mean, we've talked to it extensively on this Let's Play series, but Williams, whilst he is a small forward, I personally don't see him in terms of our rotation being a small forward. His outside shot is just non-existent. He's just not effective there. So in terms of those small forward minutes, I mean, we can give a couple of them to Leonard, and then we've got to find someone to slot in and take those small forward minutes. So we're obviously not going to give it to Charlie Dieter, who's down in the D League. We do need to find a slot though. So I think what we will do is, 6'4", we could put White there possibly and be undersized. We couldn't probably throw McConnell there, he's going to be too small. Oh, excuse me. We can't put Macklemore there. So we're probably going to give the opportunity to... Not sure. Let's have a quick think. I think what we're going to do is we're going to go a little bit undersized. I'm going to give White some of these minutes, right? And I think give Macklemore an extra couple of minutes at shooting guard, and then that should, in theory, free up White to take those small forward minutes like this. So then in terms of small forward minutes, you can come in and just take those, and I think we'll just run that. So we'll give White a really fair chunk of minutes at this moment in time. Really try and utilise him as much as we can, give him an opportunity. I mean, it's only probably for the one game, I think. Trent's out for 3 days, Clark's out for 5. So we've got to go for 3 days. So we are up against the Magic first. And we managed to get the win there, with Leonard pretty much carrying the team. We don't have a game on day 2. And on day 3 we play the Warriors. And we managed to get the win there. But Carter Jr. has managed to get himself injured. Okay. And he's out for 12 days. Oof. Okay, so we are really struggling in terms of rotation here. So we'll restore ourselves back to what we were. We will put Trent Jr. back in. Obviously White back into sort of the 6-man role. Clark's minutes, we're still going to keep power forward ones with Williams. Like so. And so we've got to find a slot for Carter Jr. So Jackson Jr. can come in and play those minutes. Power forward minutes can obviously be picked up as much as possible by Williams for now. And then we've just got to find a couple of slots for centre roles. So I think we can either give Pro Tool or Noel opportunity here. Both very similar players, if I'm honest. Neither have really had an opportunity. It's just a case of which one do we prefer. I think we'll give Pro Tool the opportunity just because I think he might have a little bit more about him than the likes Noel. But we could always give them both a couple of sets of minutes possibly, and see how that goes, I guess. So we could do something like this. And in terms of power forward minutes, I think Noel will be better suited to those minutes. So Noel will come in, I think, like this, and we'll go with that. I mean, difficult one to kind of work out. I think we've also got to find a slot for Clark's, but we know where that's going to go. We'll probably do something like this and give White those minutes like this. do something like that. So White's going to have a bit more of a chunk of minutes. Carter is obviously injured, so we can't play that powerful minute. He can go there. Yeah, a little bit of a hodgepodge of a depth chart here at the moment. So obviously the backcourt's pretty much status quo. White's going to take some small forward minutes, and Potel and Noel, we're going to split up the minutes a little bit and just see how that plays out really. So he's only out for 12 days. But we have got, look at that, we've got all of our D-League guys are injured. 3 guys off the bench are injured. So we're going to go for 12 days, which is going to probably take us to the end of January anyway. And see how we get on. I mean, this is going to be very, very interesting because I'm not sure how this depth is actually going to work. I mean, that's quite a fundamental restructure of our front court, to be honest. We managed to start with a good win against Dallas, which is good. A win against Toronto. Good point wins as well. Jackson Jr. having a great game there. Managed to get the win there. Jackson Jr. has also got injured. Okay. So our front court is being decimated now. He's out for 11 days. So, and Potel's out for 2 days. Okay, fantastic. But Clark is back. Okay. So, bit of a rejig here. We're going to restore lineup because I think that's the quickest way to do this. Clark's going to go back into his minutes. I don't know. I don't think Williams is able to play centre. Let's have a little look and just see how Noel's been doing. Not great. I'm just gonna. Do you know what, guys? I'm gonna be a little bit extreme here. We're gonna play some small ball. I'm interested to see how Williams actually does in a centre sort of position. Just very, very curious to see whether he has actually any ability to kind of play that position really. So in terms of power forward, I'm going to get him to probably pick up the majority of those power forward minutes. Obviously that does mean that we need to probably give Noel the remaining centre minutes that are here. So he's going to play a real mixed bag of things here. It does mean, Noel, you'll have to take these minutes, unfortunately. So you are going to have to play some quite heavy minutes. But we don't really have anyone else. So that's what we're going to have to do, really. And in, I don't know, bench time, McLemore can kind of play the small forward at that moment in time. So that's how we're looking. I mean, I have no idea if this is going to work, but we'll give it a go. We do probably still need to just move ourselves forward into start of Feb. I mean, we've got a bit of an injury bug in terms of the front court now. This may be completely disastrous, or this may work amazingly. I honestly have no idea. But we are playing completely small ball pretty much. And we've hit another injury. Okay, who's injured this time? Okay, so no major thing. We've lost Carter Jr., Jackson Jr. and Kawhi Leonard all at the same time. Fantastic. Right. Well, I mean, Robinson was not effective there. I mean, it's tempting to throw McLemore, but I know he can't play any defense. At least Robinson can play some sort of defense. So, Robinson, this is probably your last opportunity in a Bulls jersey, if I'm being perfectly honest here, guys. He's got one game, no pressure, to kind of show why he might be worth staying and worth that $10.5 million that we're paying him. Let's see how it plays out. So we are up against the Nets, who are 24-24 actually. We managed to get a crushing win there. Let's have a look at that one. That was a big win. Robinson was 1 of 3. Williams just phenomenal at centre there. 11 of 19, 11 rebounds. My God, that was a really, really good game from him. He's actually been crushing it at the centre position, to be perfectly honest with you. Wow, okay. That's really interesting. His rebounding's been very good. His numbers have been really good. I guess because he's just inside, he's just getting inside shots. Actually been performing fairly well for us. Right, let's get ourselves carrying moving forward. We're almost there. Nearly in the start of Feb. win against Oklahoma. We are 35-15, so we are in fairly good shape, I think. I mean, we pretty much are a playoff team, but we still want to take that division. So we are at the start of Feb. We do have some emails in the inbox to have a quick look at, which are mainly scouting ones and a trade rumour, which I'm not going to comment on. So let's have a little look. Right, in terms of the standings, we are currently top of our division, and I'm guessing top of the conference, 37-16. The Hornets are having a fantastic season, by the way. They've beaten us a few times, I think. In terms of the Western Conference, the Jazz are the top of that one. The Warriors just behind. So Lakers are struggling. But in terms of how we've been doing, let's have a little look at the roster and have a little flick through. So Jennings' numbers have pretty much been consistent as they were last season. Sorry, not Jennings. Payton's numbers have been consistent as they were last season. Not really surprising. He's still doing his job. Wyatt's numbers pretty much where they were last season. His actual shooting numbers have been a little bit better this year. Similar sort of minutes though, so similar sort of performance as you'd probably expect. Probably the same with the likes of Trent Jr. as well. Yeah, numbers are pretty good. I mean, shooting numbers slightly down on where it has been historically, but you know, still been looking pretty good. Williams is the interesting one, as we've talked about. At centre, he's actually been playing fairly well. I mean, that if you had a centre who put up these kinds of numbers starting for you, you wouldn't necessarily be that worried. I mean, he's also getting a block a game. He's averaging roughly 7 to 8 rebounds a game. I mean, he struggled in that one. I think he must have fouled out fairly quickly. Yeah, he fouled out very quick in that Raptors game. But his inside numbers have been pretty good. I mean, he's shooting around about 50-55% there, which is not too bad. Leonard's numbers have still fairly good. I mean, shooting wise, he's just been eccentric. So definitely our star player. Clark unfortunately has had a couple of injury issues, but his numbers are there or thereabouts. I mean, shooting wise, he's still fairly good. Still putting up good numbers. His 3-point shooting actually has been far more efficient this year, which is really interesting to see. Carter Jr.'s numbers, again, pretty much where they are. So I mean, we can sit here and I think we could probably talk about all of our players, and pretty much the status is that none of them have made any like massive jumps in terms of performance, but you know, they're all on pretty much, you know, on a good, in terms of our main guys, are, you know, still in good shape, you know, still performing at the level we would expect. So in terms of let's have a little look at our insights page. That's always interesting to have a little look at. So we are the number 1 rated offensive team in the league. Best net rating, defensive rating we're 13th, which is expected really. We don't micromanage the defense that much. Best in field goal, 3-point percentage we're best in, which is really surprising actually. We are the best 3-point shooting team in the league. But I guess to the extent that if Kawhi Leonard's numbers are slightly up in that range, Clark's numbers are slightly up, that probably is enough to get ourselves up there. You know, and I guess 3rd in rebounds, which is interesting. 1st in assists, and you know, so we're in really good shape. We are looking like we are going to be one of the premier teams this year, as I guess we kind of expected. But there we are. So let's have a little think about the trade deadline coming up. So we talked about Duncan Robinson through this episode. Really, I'm certainly going to be trying to see what I can get with his $10 million at this point. I mean, the other guys I had in the back of my mind as possible trade pieces are Patrick Williams. He is an expiring. He is extension eligible. I'm not sure what his extension actually is. It's probably around the $20 million mark, I'd imagine. Yeah, so $23 million. So I don't know whether we'd extend him. But given his recent performances at centre, that has opened up a little bit of an interesting proposition here that we might want to keep him this year, because we have had injuries to Jackson Jr. and to the likes of Wendell Carter and Clark, and he can play those positions fairly well. So maybe we'll keep hold of him for now. I guess we don't really want to really jig the starting 8 too much. So I mean, we probably are looking at Duncan Robinson plus draft picks to maybe see what's out there. So I think what we'll do before we end this episode is we'll have a little look and just see what is out there in terms of trade pieces that may be of interest to us. So if we quickly flick through this, you know, the usual kind of suspects are around here. I mean, we're not necessarily looking for an elite point guard. I mean, Bradley Beal is an interesting one, but at $31 million, I don't think we have the salary to kind of make that one work. What else have we got available? That's the question, isn't it? So we've got a couple of guys who are obviously in the free agency year who may be cheaper. So like a Jimmy Butler could be interesting, but I'm not a massive fan of his outside shooting ability. So, but you know, it's an option. Chris Middleton is a very interesting prospect, but again at $40 million, we just don't have that kind of money to throw around. What else have we got? Let's just quickly flick through into the front court positions. So not a great deal that I can see that's immediately of interest. No real major stars at positions that we probably would want in terms of salary. I mean, Jaylen Brown's an interesting one. I mean, he's a good defender. $29 million though, it's just too much. Bogdanovic could be interesting. He's just an outside shooter, but at this point he's kind of declining in that respect. Yeah, it's looking fairly bleak this year. Jamal Murray would be a fantastic option if we were actually that interested, but I don't think we are at this point. So I'm gonna probably end the episode there, guys. I'm gonna have a little look around on the trade blocks and see what's really available. See if there's any pieces that maybe we can do a Robinson plus a first round to get a couple of guys, or maybe get something. I mean, in terms of things that I'm thinking of that we necessarily would really want, it's probably backcourt cover. Shooting is always so essential. Those are kind of the two things that I'm going to be looking for. But as always, interested if you've got thoughts or opinions in terms of maybe trade options that we've got that we should be considering. But yeah, we'll come back next time, see if there's anything available in terms of trade options, progress forward probably that trade week, and then get ourselves forward into the playoffs. But if you enjoyed the episode, please hit the like and subscribe button. And always really interested to hear your comments or thoughts of the Let's Play series to now. And we'll be back next time probably to explore the trade deadline in a little bit more detail.